The story begins with a man named Ryan, who had always loved animals. Since childhood, he enjoyed watching them, helping at shelters, and taking photos of every furry friend he met. But his love for animals wasn't his only passion. He also loved making people laugh. As he grew up, Ryan acted in comedy sketches, always finding ways to bring joy to others. In 2006, he decided to share his humor with the world by posting a video on YouTube. He had no idea that one simple upload would change everything. Not long after, Ryan adopted a tiny, 2-month-old cat named Hebe. Unlike his other pets, Hebe was full of mischief. He chewed on shoes, knocked things over, and even drank water straight from the toilet. Instead of getting annoyed, Ryan found it hilarious. He decided to turn Hebe's wild behavior into a song, a playful tune about a little warrior ruling the house in the most chaotic way possible. Once the song was ready, Ryan filmed a fun video to go with it. He called it the Mean Kitty Song and posted it on YouTube. At first, he didn't expect much to happen. But then, something amazing occurred. The video went viral. Millions of people watched it, laughed at Hebe's silly adventures, and shared it with friends. Even years later, Ryan would say the video still got views, showing how much people still loved it. But when Ryan grew close to Hebe, something unexpected happened. Hebe got sick. At first, Ryan and his wife thought it was just a minor issue and gave him medicine. But Hebe didn't get better, even after visiting the doctor. Days later, Hebe passed away, leaving a huge hole in Ryan's heart. The loss was so deep that Ryan decided to move. The house just reminded him too much of Hebe, and he needed a fresh start. He and his family decided to leave the busy streets of Southern California and move to Eagle River, Alaska. Their new home was deep in the woods, far away from the city life they were used to. It wasn't easy adjusting to the change, but there was one exciting thing about it: animals. There were so many of them. As soon as they arrived, wildlife seemed to welcome them. Birds, squirrels, and even moose wandered by their house like they were saying hello. While Ryan felt a little sad, he knew this was a perfect chance for a fresh start. Inspired by his old videos with Hebe, he decided to film these new animal encounters and share them with his growing online audience. One of their first unexpected visitors was a cat. One morning, while Ryan was out for a walk, he noticed a small cat following him. She had big, curious eyes, and something about her reminded him of his old cat, Hebe. As soon as he turned toward his house, though, she disappeared. 3 days later, the cat returned. This time, Ryan's wife saw her first and called him over. He couldn't believe it was the same cat. Maybe she had followed him home after all. They decided to let her inside and gave her some food. Just like Hebe, this cat had a funny habit. She couldn't stop licking Ryan's feet. That evening, the cat sneaked out again, disappearing into the night. But 3 days later, she was back, acting as if she had never left. This became a routine. She would stay for a while, eat, and then vanish before nightfall. Ryan and his wife started to wonder, where was she going? Did she have a home? Or was she astray? After a while, they decided not to let her leave when she came back. To their surprise, she seemed completely comfortable staying indoors. She made herself at home, curling up in a corner like she had always lived there. Just as they thought they had a new pet, an unexpected knock at the door changed everything. An elderly woman, about 65 years old, knocked on Ryan's door and introduced herself as their neighbor. She asked if they had seen a cat wandering around. The cat's name was Ivana, and she belonged to her. Ryan quickly apologized, explaining they had assumed Ivana was a stray. The woman laughed and reassured him, saying, "Oh, Ivana does this all the time. She takes little holidays every few weeks and stays with different people. We've all gotten used to it." It turned out Ivana was well known in the neighborhood for disappearing for days, only to return home later. This time, she had stayed with Ryan and his wife longer than usual, which made her owner a bit worried. She thanked them for taking care of Ivana and promised to bring her by for visits in the future. Ryan said goodbye to the adventurous cat, thinking their home would feel a little empty without her. But just as he was settling in, the very next day, a much bigger visitor arrived. Since moving to Alaska, Ryan had noticed something surprising. A baby moose with its mother had been wandering around the neighborhood. They were huge animals, but surprisingly calm. It reminded him of Ivana, the cat, who also tried to come inside the house. But unlike Ivana, the moose always stayed close, just watching from a distance. One evening, Ryan saw the baby moose and her mother getting a little more curious. The usually shy mother had started to get closer to Ryan's lawn, and Ryan was intrigued. He had heard that young moose loved playing with sprinklers, and it sounded funny, but he wanted to see it for himself. That evening, when the moose appeared, he saw an opportunity. Ryan waited until the baby moose wandered a little away from her mother. Then, sneaking outside, he turned on the sprinkler and quickly ran back inside. He and his wife stood by the window, eager to see what would happen next. At first, the baby moose hesitated. She watched the water spraying up from the ground and took a careful step closer. Then, her curiosity took over. She ran right toward the sprinkler, jumping through the water. It was like she was having the time of her life. She even bent down to take a drink from the water, kicking playfully at it like a young calf enjoying a moment of fun. Ryan and his wife couldn't stop laughing. It was one of the cutest things they had ever seen. After a few minutes, the calf ran off, and Ryan thought the fun was over. But to his surprise, she came right back, even more excited than before. She dashed through the water again, but this time, something unexpected happened. The ground had become slippery. As she ran, she lost her footing and tumbled to the ground. Ryan and his wife gasped, worried she might stop playing. But no, she didn't. The moment she fell, she quickly jumped back up and sprinted toward the sprinkler again. It was as if the fall didn't even bother her. Ryan couldn't help but admire her courage. He thought for sure she would give up after falling, but she just kept going. So, he decided to call her Elwood. Elwood wasn't done yet. She ran off again, only to return a few minutes later. This time, she didn't just run through the water. She stood still, letting the sprinkler soak her completely. It was like she had found the best toy in the world. Elwood kept playing with the sprinkler, as happy as could be, and Ryan and his wife couldn't get enough of her playful spirit. Ryan couldn't believe what he was seeing. This is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. I've heard baby moose love sprinklers, but I didn't know it made them this happy. Elwood kept running back, circling the yard before heading straight for the sprinkler again. She was full of energy, hopping and jumping through the water, loving every second of it. This went on for about 30 minutes before she finally had enough. With one last sprint, she disappeared into the trees with her mother. Ryan and his wife stood there, smiling. They had just seen something amazing. They both knew this wouldn't be the last time Elwood played in their yard. Next time, Ryan would be ready, with the sprinkler on, and maybe even a new toy waiting for her. So, that's all for today. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts about this story. What's the next story you'd like to know? Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of these amazing videos on Wild Wonder.